Okay. I look like a little grandmother babushka this morning, all warmed up because it's freezing, even in a warm, heated house. So I had all of these great, nice colors happening. I was like, I'm gonna wear blue and purple, and then I just covered myself all up. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, to another beautiful moment of taking care of yourself. So, everybody's already spiraling, which I love. Everyone already just drops in to the spiral. If you're watching this on recording and you're new to the work, the spiral is how all of nature creates itself. Everything's a spiral. And after years of teaching, my body just naturally always started to go into this spiral state. And now it's just kind of really always how we start. It helps you really figure out what's comfortable in your body. You have kind of like a natural autonomic and automatic soothing response in the body. And I was just organizing. I just reached out to old high school friends here in town and I was like, let's go cross country skiing. And they were like, yeah, great, but my hips can't do that. So we'll snowshoe instead. And I thought, gotta come to class. So move into your body. And if hips are always, the hips are tight. They're tight because we grip here, because we grip here, because we hold here. It's actually really internal. So, for the spirit of my high school friends, I will focus on the hips today. And so the spiral just starts, it's a lot of times we hold a lot here, and even sitting like this is not at all comfortable. So you find out what is comfortable. You can spiral anyway. You can spiral in a chair. You bring your knees up underneath you in whatever form works. You can spiral from here. Where's comfortable? The whole technique is based on actually just finding comfort in your body. So never follow my body. It's a lot of years of being raised in this work and teaching for years. So those who are online know already, well, just do you. And if I'm just going to go off and teach. And if your body doesn't want to do it, you just go off and you do what your body wants you to do. And you will find that by learning how to work with the stretch reflex in a way that you can actually relax and drop instead of reaching, which we do on so many minute little levels, that you will increase a great deal of flexibility a lot more. So hips get tight. It's important to understand why they get tight first, because there are postural reasons for it that I won't actually go into because they're kind of fairly basic, the way we tilt our pelvises. But we tilt our pelvises because we're gripping. And the grip is in here, and the grip is in the middle of the chest. And here's the diaphragm, and we lift up and we hold and we pull all of our energy up, and then everything gets tight. So your spiral might look like this because you're not moving a lot. And eventually what you want to be able to do is unlock all the pieces so that you're moving everything. So just see how much you can move. How much can your pelvis come under? Like shimmy back and forth down here. If you're feeling tweaks, find pillows and ways to be able to support what's going on. Can the shimmy come up through your body? Can you start to like roll it into that middle part of your back that holds and grips so much through the diaphragm? And you might want to do this slowly. Like if there's sensitivity down in the SI joints, if you move too quickly as your body's loosening, you can kind of pull and feel a little twinge. So don't do that. Just really slowly. That looks beautiful, Jen. So you just got the whole chest in there and then just up into the shoulders. So all we're doing in this work is we're unsticking all the stuck parts. And you do that by relaxing, as I said, as I say in every class, and not reaching. And so you're teaching your body to notice where you're holding something that you don't know you're holding. And then once you realize you're holding it, that gives you the opportunity to drop it. You can't drop something you can't feel. But as soon as you feel it, your first mind's reaction is, I am so angry at myself for being so inflexible. And this is entirely useless and unhelpful. You want to remove that thought, because if you didn't know and notice that it was there and really feel into it and be like, wow, that's really there, as soon as your mind does that, then you actually know that you can drop things like that. And that process actually allows blood and nutrients to get into areas that it otherwise can't get into. And so you have to teach your mind through the process of working this way to just slowly relax everything more and more and more. And as you do that and you notice, oh, I didn't know I was holding that, I can relax that. We shouldn't call it somatic stretch because it's really somatic relax. And when you do that, then things open and extend because the stretch reflex changes into a different reflex, which means that the muscles that are holding and taking care of you and like, I don't know what you're going to do, and I don't really trust you because you can't feel I'm here. When it realizes that there's no danger, it sends a message to the muscle on each end of the muscle to actually relax and elongate because there's load on the muscle. And so it's like, it's okay, it's cool, relax. And so it slowly starts to open this way. And that's why you get so much more flexibility by doing so little. So you're not allowed to be upset that you're inflexible, because that's the realization that's actually letting your brain know that it's tight. And then you're finding the reflexes of where you can relax. So if your hips are bothering you, let's just move from here. Let's just have one leg out. Maybe you've got a pillow under here. Maybe your leg is forward. Maybe you've got a pillow underneath your knee. And just keep spiraling. And all you're doing is you're noticing what it is that you're feeling in your body. If this is even uncomfortable, then you start lying down. And in the lying down, you're exploring a leg up, one leg out to the side. Put a pillow underneath your leg and just breathe and work into your abdomen and just breathe and feel what's kind of in your abdomen. It will slowly start to open through the leg. And then eventually, as you're opening through your leg down and lifting your leg up and opening, maybe do one at a time instead of both at the same time going down if you're lying down. Yeah. And just let yourself breathe and open. And that's the best place to start. If you can sit up and work this way, then just explore what's there, because you've just hit 5 million stretches right there. Now find what angle is the stretchiest. So here's my angle right now that I'm finding. But yours is going to be totally different. And maybe you're back here like this, which means that you need to be able to be back here, and you need to move from here to here and discover. And even, I mean, I can sit up, but if I'm sitting back this way, I can still feel great stretches, even though I can put my legs out on my stomach on the floor. So this isn't about how far you can go. It's about finding the little secret spaces. And so that same angle I'm finding right back here. Now I've got all of my weight on my arm so that I can relax all this. If I pick my arm up, I have to hold these areas and the stretch disappears. So I put my hand back down and I learn class by class how to drop the muscles so that I can feel. And that's why doing it regularly, just bit by bit, allows your brain to recognize, because you're holding a lot more right now than you do realize. And now I'm pushing myself up with my arm, not lifting and grabbing all the muscles that I just opened. And in my spiral, which for me is a very open one because I can move my pelvis a lot, this angle right here is a really good one. So this is me stretching. I'm just relaxing. And so my line is, if you can't sip a cup of tea while you're doing this, then you're not doing it right. So find an angle that feels good and just relax into it. And now what I'm noticing is I'm holding a little bit of my gut, and I'm holding a little bit of my shoulder, and I'm holding a little bit of my throat. And I just let that relax. Maybe this is too far for you. You want to have a pillow underneath you. Wherever your angle is, find the muscles that's holding you for being there, and then find a solution by propping yourself somehow where you don't need to hold it. And then just breathe. And now I'm going to rock a little bit back and forth and just explore the territory of what's there. For some people, this is a hamstring stretch. That's why you can't follow my body. You're just spiraling where it's comfortable. You're finding an angle. Now I'm going to gently bring myself back, and I'm going to explore the other angles. And I moved slowly because I just went to a very deep stretch. relaxing here. It was very elongated. And if I moved quickly, it would have tweaked and hurt. So I gently lifted, pushed myself up, not lifted myself. And now I'm exploring the other stretches. And if there's a particular angle that stands out, then I'll lean into it. Like here's another one. And I've got my body weight on my hands so that I can relax the muscles. If I lift and hold my body, I have to contract some of the muscles that I actually want to relax into. So that's why this is the easiest way to stretch, because you're just teaching yourself how to relax and drop muscles. And then when you want to reach for a goal, it's accessible because you've oiled all the finer parts you didn't know were there. Now change legs and try the other side. So you're just exploring what works. And this side feels really different from the other side. And the angles are very different. And as I start to open my joints, my jaw wants to open and my fingers want to open, because what's fractal about the body and what's fractal is that it's a pattern that repeats itself in different scales. And that's a big conversation, but an easy way to look at it is that every part of the body mirrors every other part of the body. And an even simpler way of putting it is that once you open one joint, you're actually communicating with the connection of joints through your body. So the littlest joint that you open and the biggest joint that you open are connected. So just by opening the joints of my hips, other joints want to start to open. And so let yourself just kind of follow that lead. And so here I am also stretching my hamstring, but that's because the relaxation where I get into here, and now my body wants to turn to get into the stretch. You're just leaning and listening into where the stretch is. If you're bored and wish that you were moving faster, that's the brain humming that you have to bring down enough in order to be able to breathe through the moment, to settle your system so that the nervous system can recalibrate, basically. And so the movements are really slow. And when I go to yoga, then the movements, I have the flexibility to be able to do the movements much faster. Looks beautiful. It's so nice because those of you who are here today have been coming for a really long time. And it's just so nice to see. Not only are you doing your own thing, you're doing it with totally relaxed bodies. So, like, even this stretch here that you're doing, Jen, so many people will be like holding here and they don't know how to drop here, and all of you just have this really beautifully relaxed everything, which is how you drop into it. That looks great, Carol. I'm going to just explore by keeping both legs open now and just kind of shimmying from one side to the other. Now the heat's building up. So this is a position that's pretty impossible for most people. So don't follow me, but just explore maybe having both your legs out and your hands behind you and just feeling like what you can move where. And in moving that, do you feel it into your upper body? So it's very meditative on you just exploring sensation. For me, I'm very flexible, so I can explore here. And what I'm going to start to explore that my body is just doing for me, because I'm not thinking about what I want to do, is my foot started to flex, and that gives me this really great stretch up the back. Now, the calves are really important because the lock up in the pelvis is very directly connected to the whole string all the way down into your foot, because we're one piece of fabric and you can't pull one piece without having the other pieces pull with it. So as I lift up my foot, I'm just leaning into where I start to feel the stretch. For a lot of people, you can be back here and just you'll feel it here. But I'm finding where I meet the stretch, where it's a really nice stretch up through my calf, and then I just relax there. And everything wants to open. And then those deep breaths come in, or yawns or tears, a lot of times happens for people because you're actually releasing the inner tension. It's like tension to me. I'm just going to move to the other side and check that side out. Is like ice that's frozen. It's breath that's frozen from vapor into ice. And as you soften into where the ice is and it melts, the breath and the vapor comes back out again. That's what it feels like to me. Now, my body wants to start to get into my spine. So basically, that was any way that you want to get into flexing your feet and feeling into your hamstrings. If you bring your legs forward, you can just flex your feet up one after another or both at the same time. You're just exploring what's there. If it's difficult because your hips are tight, you can't really sit with your legs straight without being up on something. And so that's why having one leg forward and one leg out to the side helps you explore more in that way. There was something else I was just going to go to, and I can't remember what it was. I was here. Oh, the turns. My body naturally started to want to turn into, but it's easier to do with your legs closer together. So I'm going to sit with one leg in front of the other because I can and bring my knees out to the side. You might have pillows. You might have one leg out to the side, whatever works for you. And, or this way too, both legs out and just sitting this way and working through your spine. So the point here is you want to be able to have everything dropped down to here as much as possible. So before we even start, I'm going to take you into your breath and where your breath goes with this. So people are always holding up this way. So feel, what was I doing the other day? In my geekiness, I was finding areas. So feel how, if you're going to lift up and have good posture and you lift yourself up, you might feel like little sandwich board hikes underneath your shoulder blades there. Can you feel that muscle that when you push a little bit forward, it contracts? So give me a nod for those who are in class if you feel that. Yeah? Okay, good. Carol, you too? Yeah. Richard? Yeah. So as you contract, feel the muscle, release it. Feel the muscle and release it. And feel the muscle because you're pushing and release it. You might start to feel that there's actually quite a connection into right underneath in your solar plexus here. It's like, because the energy is like pushing forward. Does anyone feel anything in here when they do that? Yeah. Okay. So your diaphragm is underneath here and we grip and we hold. So there's a couple of things happening. A lot of times people will say, I feel like I'm cut off in the middle. Like there's a top and the bottom, the two pieces aren't connected. And this is part of that. So this part in the back is good for posture when the body's up. But Thomas Hanna has a beautiful way of describing what he calls the red light reflex and the green light reflex. And the red light reflex is to stop and pull everything back. And the green light reflex is to go forward. And part of the goal searching that we always do is we're always pushing forward. We're always feeling the stress of I've got to go, and our mind's thinking over here because we're either thinking behind us or in front of us, and it literally, the physiology of the body is responding to where the mind is. So this push is part of the green light reflex where it's like go 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 go, and that go 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 leaves the spine really rigid, and it helps contain the grip in the chest, which is mirrored in the grip in the pelvis, and that's why your hips are tight, because all of this is holding internally. And so while we're working with the muscles on the outside, you're actually looking at relaxing what the internal is so that you can soften this. So part of where your mind might want to go when you're thinking just hips and struggling with hips is, first of all, to the fact that you're pulling the breath up on subtle levels that lift up this way, that pull in the diaphragm, grip around here, and are aggravated by these subtle senses of stress that are constantly feeling like you can't relax and you have to keep moving forward. So with that in mind, let's take a deep breath in. Let's just relax your body first, relax your back down. And we're going to take a deep breath in and lift the shoulders all the way up to the ears. pick up all of it. And you'll feel that part of your back kind of grip and lift, and you'll probably feel other things in your lower back, but you want to bring your up to your ears as much as possible, and then you let it all relax down. So it's like a waterfall. Energy is like water, and the mind is what's pulling the energy because we're energy. So you can't have energy without the mind pulling the energy. It's all the mind. The mind is energy. So take a deep breath in and lifting all the way up and squeezing, and draw the perineum up too. Lift all of it. This is the direction subtly of where all of your thoughts are going and where the stress and the energy gets pulled up. And then as you relax it and it drops all the way down, your mind starts to clock what all the way up and all the way down feels. And at the beginning, it's kind of like this hinge like this, but eventually it turns into up and down and up and down. And in that way, all the tissues and the muscles start to relax. So again, take a deep breath in, lifting all the way up, and exhale. And just close your eyes for a moment and just let everything settle. Feel the softness in your throat and through your chest. And relaxing down into the pelvis. So when we're focused in the inner world, we have the opportunity to let the stillness drop. As soon as we open our eyes and we're out in the world, we start to pick up a lot of muscles. So that's why meditative practice, or when you get really used to this, you don't have to listen to me natter, and you just do your own thing and it becomes very meditative. From here, we're going to start to explore and open into the spine. This is important because we're unlocking all those pieces in the middle that are so connected to our tight hips. So one hand on the floor, one hand on the knee. Take a breath into the belly. And as you exhale, you're going to push your hand against the floor, and you're going to push it away from you while keeping it on the floor. And that's going to turn your body. So you don't want to turn your body by using all those muscles. You want to give those muscles that job over to your arm. And then you push this way. And then you take your other arm and you roll it around. So now my arm is pressing on my leg. My hand is pressing on the floor, and they're pushing this way so that I can actually rotate in the middle. And that allows me to relax the muscle so that I can begin to really open into a stretch. At the beginning, take a breath in, change hands, exhale, and press. At the beginning, you're not quite sure how to let go of the muscles in the back and give them over to the arms. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Take a breath, exhale, change, and turn. And the shoulder wants to ride up, so you kind of relax the shoulder. And then release, spiraling back, take a breath, exhale, and turn. And if you're noticing there's a part of your body that's really not enjoying yourself, you need to move it somewhere and support it somehow so that you can still find a way to get into the gentle turn and kind of like a wringing out of the spine. Take a breath in without that tension being there, because it's that I am not enjoying myself sensation that is going to stop you from coming back. And it's the, oh my God, I feel so much better sensation that keeps you doing this. Now just come back into the spiral. So one of our teachers was saying how when she first started class, she was using like 150% of her energy to do things and figure it out. And eventually you drop so much that then you just glide through the stretches. So being able to go through the class, we do so many of the same exercises, but you go deeper and deeper every time. So I'm going to bring my legs forward and I'm just going to rub all of my legs down, get all the blood and nutrients running down to my feet. And we're going to go on to the floor. So people who have really tight hips, and I should have switched it around so that we start with this. But if you ever repeat this, if you're on recording, you can start at this point halfway through, because we're just going to go down to the floor and play with the kind of the visceral connections down into the legs and let everything open. So at the beginning, as I said, If this is uncomfortable, then start lying down. This is your point where you can start and you can come back to this. So in a lot of the other classes, we do a lot of kind of like abdominal um, strengthening and things. But in this class, we're just going to focus on hips and relaxing everything as much as possible. So bring yourself down. If your shoulders are open enough that you can sit with your elbows this way, just do a little bit of an opening in through the shoulders. If that feels comfortable, if it doesn't feel comfortable, just lie down onto the floor. Looking good, guys. And then just slide your elbows out and feel your spine going down to the floor. And then roll all the way down. And while you're here, straighten out your legs. There's my body so that you can see all of me. And then just bring your arms above your head and give yourself a deep full body stretch. Arching a little bit into your lower back and slowly releasing everything. And my body just naturally started shimmying itself down through the pelvis. So I'm just kind of doing a little shimmy in the pelvis and feeling how much all the way through the spine. Can I feel that wave all the way up into my head? And does my head jiggle as well as my pelvis? Or is it just located in the bottom? Now I'm just rolling through my ankles and really feeling that, we talk about the grip in the pelvis so much and how much the pelvis is tight. But another thing about fractals is that everything's mirrored everywhere. And so the contractions in the pelvis are connected to the contractions up in the neck. And the contractions deep in the reproductive system are also really locked a lot in the middle of the throat. And this is a really chronic area that we don't realize how much tension we're holding, just like we don't realize how much tension we're holding in our pelvises. It's more apparent in our pelvises because we will go to do things more. But with your neck and your shoulders and everything all kind of contained, you're not often in a situation and it's actually quite challenging, I find, even with all my sensory awareness, to get deep into where the tension is in the throat. So I'm using voice and sound and tones in order to activate that center more. But it's very, very connected right down deep into the middle of your reproductive system. And when I say reproductive system, I mean prostate, G-spot, all of that. Very, very connective, creative center to creative center. And they even look very similar physiologically. Okay, so as you're here, just start to open through the shoulders. Feel your shoulders come down. Get yourself comfortable where you are and feel the alignment through the neck. And you want to start to open the throat and the neck in order to be able to relax and soften into the hips. So I'm going to just place my hands behind my head like I'm cloud gazing. And I'm going to take my thumbs and I'm going to rub, again, little spirals, I'm going to massage little tiny circles of spirals into these little bones that stick out in the side of the spine. Don't worry if you don't know your anatomy. You're just looking for little sensitive areas. And you're just going to slowly, really gently, it's not about a lot of pressure. It's actually more about feeling with your thumbs into where you feel sensation than it is about just rubbing vigorously or pressing. You want to also elevate your sensory awareness of what you're feeling in your fingers. So imagine that there's light coming out of each thumb, and that light is meeting each other in the middle of your throat. So you don't even have to move. Sometimes find a really good sensitive spot. And that deep breath always means that you found a release point. So find a really good sensitive spot there and feel like the energy from your fingers are moving through to the middle of your throat. And we are a field of energy because energy is the only way that we're even living and talking. So you can give yourself permission to feel and direct it rather than just having it remain invisible and insensible. So as you do that, just explore up and down your neck, these areas. As you start to think to core, like where I'm saying, letting the energy meet in the middle, you're actually activating your nervous system even more. And you may not feel the deeper relaxation in your pelvis, but it is helping. I naturally just started to kind of rock my head back and forth with my thumbs on each side. Like they're pressing, I'm pressing with one thumb, it's moving my head to one side. And then I'm getting up underneath the base of my skull here and just massaging. And all of that is like the deep parts of your hip crest too that need to open. And then I'm going to push over to the other side and massage there. And it only seems strange that you can work one part of your body and affect the other if you're thinking in parts, but we were never parts. We're just one piece of fabric, and you can't pull on one piece without affecting the whole fabric. So eventually you start to have a sensory awareness of that. Here, we're just going to relax the thumbs, bring the elbows towards the ceiling, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, you're going to lift your head with your hands, not your neck muscles, and you're just going to bring your chin over the front of your chest, and you're going to elongate through the spine. And then slowly lower your head down with your hands. Take a breath in. Exhale as you lift. So we use the exhalation all the time on the work that we're doing so that there can be elongation. Make a longer story short, and then bring your head back down. From here, I'm going to just shimmy my hands along the carpet over to the left. So my right elbow is going to start to grab the side of my head, and I'm just gently going to stretch one side of my neck and then move it over to the other side. So you're not lifting your head up a lot. You're just still looking at the ceiling, and you're just letting your arms lean you from one side to the other, and then back to center. And then just bring your arms along the floor at shoulder height. And just press your arms and your shoulders down against the floor. So now you're actually strengthening and stretching through the areas that get really caught through your arms from the tension in your back. And release that pressure. Take a breath in. Exhale. Press your arms against the floor. Press the shoulders down. And release. Take a breath in. And exhale. Press the shoulders down. And then just start to roll through the wrists and the ankles, opening everything up. Your extremities are really important because imagine like a knot in your hair being your tight pelvis. You can't get into it by just jamming your brush into the middle of that. You have to start at the bottom, meaning energetically that if there's no place for, if you've got really tight hands and feet, because everything like ice is just slowly moved to the extremities, you have to start in the extremities. And then if something does release from the interior, it's really got nowhere to go. So you're giving it more space in order to be able to find release through the body. So the muscles are holding a lot of lactic acid when they have a lot of tension in them. As blood flows, that lactic acid has to move out, for instance, if you want to look at it on a more physical level. And it can't move out if everything's tight and held. So give it some space at the ends of your body as well. And now we're going to lift the left leg up, and we're just going to drop it out to the side. So everyone's going to be different here. And again, use a pillow so that you can find what's comfortable. You don't want to have tight hips and then your whole body goes over to the side here. You just want to be able to have your leg dropped out to the side. And you're just going to take your fingers and you're slowly just going to massage around into your abdomen. So your tight hips are also tightening into your organs, and there's going to be little sensitive areas in here. And if you massage into them, you're also helping release the tension in your hips. So explore all those areas. And then you might want to just shift your foot down another couple of inches. Every time we're going to just kind of shift down every couple of inches until eventually this leg is straight. And each little stop along the way is going to show you um, all the different angles in your hips and what's tight. You can also come all the way up underneath your rib cage and across. It's not just your lower abdomen, it's your whole abdominal cavity. And if you find a little area that's particularly sensitive, you can also take that spiral and you can very gently just massage. Again, it's not about a lot of pressure. It's about the sensation of the energy from your hands finding the center of where the congestion is. Shimmy your foot down a little bit more. So doing a lot of this and also working right in the what they call the solar plexus into your hands. It's actually not an anatomical neural plexus. Isn't that interesting? There's a bunch of plexuses in the body, and a plexus is just where all of the nerves come together in like a little football huddle before going off to do their respective play. And it's interesting that everyone knows where the solar plexus is, but it's not actually a mass of nerves. If anyone knows where that started, please let me know. And now just slowly keep letting the leg drop down, letting the hip show you what's open and what's not until eventually your leg comes to straight. And when it does come to straight, you can just very gently shimmy out your leg. And then when you're done with that, you can work on the other side. And I will try to be quiet while you do that. And keep the throat soft, the neck elongated. And as your mind wanders, just bring it back to your sensory system, asking yourself what images are coming up for you. And if they carry you off into too much of a thought, bring them back. And what is it that you're feeling where? And I've mapped out a whole kind of inner geometry that turns out to have a great deal of significance to it from doing this, basically, of just following the sensory pathways. You'll start to notice that if you press in one area, you'll feel a referral somewhere else. And that eventually, over 25 years, turned into a map that turned into geometry, which turned into a whole bunch of stuff. So following your sensory guidance is really key. And eventually both legs come down to straight. And then just bring your right leg back up, foot on the floor. And as you push your foot, you start to open into the pelvis a little bit. And I want you just to rock back and forth here. So even if you are very flexible, all of these subtle experiences in the body open up whole different areas. You're getting down to finer and finer levels of fine tuning. And it really helps keep the body in really good condition. It helps tone things. It helps give you levels of flexibility when you go to actually do your more intensive things that you do. And then just change the other leg and push. So you're really just kind of massaging the whole lower area, but feeling how you're even opening the quad a little bit and you're rocking into those SI joints and into the lower back where so much strain gets placed. That's another reason why your hips get tight because there's a lot of strain in the lower back due to kind of the postural misalignments that are going on and the pull of gravity. And so that tightens up your hips even more in order to be able to try to protect the low back, which then as years go down the road, turns into too much crunching and nothing really helped. And your low back starts to get a lot of bulging discs and issues that can cause pain. And then bring both your knees up and then just lift into your chest. And you might even feel so much more in your abdomen now that you've opened everything up that way. And then just very gentle rocking back and forth side to side. I like to make little figure eights with my knees. That just sort of automatically happens. So I'm kind of giving my SI joints even more of a little bit of an internal massage. Left foot on the floor, bring your right leg up. Really good thing to do is hold onto your pant leg. You don't have a lot of flexibility and just find where your stretch is. We use stretch cloths as well, which I don't do in the online classes because it's a whole other thing in itself. And now from here, press your heel and rotate very slowly through your ankle so that you're massaging and opening all of the calf muscles. All of this very much pertains to the pelvis. Needling in acupuncture in the lower part of the ankle is very connected, so connected to the lower abdomen that it's contraindicated in pregnancy and first trimester, particularly because of the incredible impact that it has. Also, bowel issues that happen a lot of times, the contraction in through the calves are what's governing a lot of that. That's my short version there. If you are very flexible, you can hold on to your thigh and bring it forward, but you just want to kind of play with what feels good. And I want you to find the edge that just feels comfortable for you. There's that deep breath again. And I want you just to really slowly move so that you're discovering the territory of the stretch. And of course, again, most people are going to have their pant leg holding. Whatever you can do to actually relax your leg into that position. If you're holding your, well, no, never mind. That's fine. And then just change and do the other leg. Again, wherever that's comfortable for you. My leg likes to kind of rotate a little bit one side to the other. And you will notice that I just said, this is what my leg likes to do. Because it's not that it's a separate part of me, it's that I've given it permission to show me what's going on instead of me telling it what to do. And I learned so much more that way. Now, all these muscles are very connected down into the SI joint. The SI joints are the little joints in the lower part of your back. And this is all part of where a lot of the hip tension comes from. So I don't know if you can feel in stretching out the hamstrings just how much it's connected to the muscles in your butt. And if they're connected to the muscles in your butt, that's all part of your tight hips. Slowly roll through the ankle. And now from here, I want you just to take both legs up wherever they're comfortable. And a cloth or something or holding onto your pant legs is helpful so that you can really relax your legs where they are, unless it's comfortable enough just having your legs up. I like to just kind of as if my feet are in skis, I just sort of bring them right up to the point where I feel it in my lower abdomen and in my lower back. And I just hold them there. And then I just soften. And if you really relax and get out of the way, your legs just start to make little micro movements of little shifts and turns where you're like, oh my God, that is such a stretch. And it's not about your hamstrings, it's more about the connection from your hamstrings into your pelvis. So there's all these really subtle little ways that we can move and work that really open everything up. And those are the areas that if I'm in class, in a yoga class, and I've got my leg up and they're like, okay, grab your leg and bring your nose to your knee, I'm not going to get here. And it's here that the blood and nutrients get a chance to kind of flood through areas that they don't get to, and where great flexibility gets increased because of how much you're actually working with your body. Excellent job, everyone. So hands on the knees, slide your left leg down. We'll do typical side roll, opening into the spine. So I've got my right knee over. A lot of people can't move over at all, and they have to grip a lot of muscles to hold here. If that's you, then putting a pillow behind you so you can actually relax back into where you are is better, because then you can relax all these muscles, and then your hip muscles open, all these different areas open. For those of you that are more flexible and you can really reach over and open your arms, as long as you can just really check in with what muscles you're holding where and see if you can drop them. Sometimes maybe bringing both your feet up together and kind of finding a place to hook your feet can help. For a deeper stretch, you're going to have the bottom leg extended. So you're just allowing that spiral to move through your spine. Feel the connection all the way up through the neck, through the throat. And when you're ready, push with your bottom leg, bring yourself up, give yourself a little bit of a rock one side to the other, and then over to the other side. Again, whatever level is comfortable. There's often on the lower, the leg that's, excuse me, the leg that's on the floor. There's often right in that hip an area where you're actually contracting to pull your body over. And that's why having something behind you or really dropping and relaxing is important, because then you can find the little muscles that are actually holding deep in that hip, right in the side of your body that's on the floor right now. Whoa, and so you have just taken such good care of yourself for a whole hour, and you've created so much space. And if at any point you feel like, that was hard, the next class, you need to do it slower. You need to pull back even more. And your sensory system will start to recognize, oh, I can actually come back here and still relax and feel a stretch. From here, holding on to your knees, you can either rock through your spine back and forth if you want to do that, or what's a lot easier and less stressful on the body, if that's what you're needing, is to come over into a fetal position. Roll yourself over. You will notice that I'm putting my hand in front of my face and my elbow is on the floor, and I'm rolling over to pick myself up. And when I do that, I'm not lifting through my neck and my back. I'm letting my arms push me up so that I don't strain anything, that I've just opened everything where I've just opened everything. And then, for a moment of self-appreciation and gratitude for all you've done with yourself, we always finish with wrapping ourselves up in something warm. Your body temperature has probably dropped a lot. And sitting up on something, wherever you're comfortable, however you're comfortable sitting, And going back into that spiral just to see, oh, you might feel a lot more than you did at the beginning. You might feel less. It's all good. And because we've had a chance to soften our nervous systems and calm it down, there's a resonance that we carry in that. Just like if you're in a room of really angry, uptight people, it's going to feel different in a room of very calm, meditative people. So, how you are affects everything else. And that's just science today. So, we're going to just settle in and we take a minute at the end of class to be able to drop in, appreciate the spaces that are open, appreciate what you've done for yourself. And you might even start to feel or hear a hum in the body, this place of neural nectar, as I call it. And whether you do or whether you don't, just sit in the silence and collectively, even if you're on video, it's the fractal emanation of this continuing going out into the world. We're just going to take all of that goodness and that calmness from our practice, and we're just going to imagine it spreading out from us across the globe, calming and giving support and ease to any frequency that is not feeling that. And see if you can feel right in the middle of your back where we started, where that go, go, go is in your back. See if you can just notice if you're contracting it. Notice if you can release it a little bit more. And where's that place in the middle where you can have upright, beautiful posture, but it's not pushing you? Thank you so much for taking such good care of yourself and bringing your body and breath to a planet in need. I'll see you next time.